Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our channel. This morning I'm going to show you how to make a diagram for the layout of a spider web. I am using this foam board. It's got a paper backing, and I got these at Hobby Lobby, and I believe they come in a sheet of 24 by 36. I cut it down to a 12-inch size. And right now I am marking the 6-inch measurements, and I'm going to do that all the way around. And this just divides it kind of in half. See here how I make the straight lines. And if you've never done this before, you'll kind of get where I'm going with the spider web when we finish this up. And even after all this work, you'll only need the board for a few minutes. And this will be the basis for the spider web. And here we have a 12-inch hoop. So it just fits on my 12-inch board. And I am marking where each one of those lines intersects with the hoop. And this will be where the cross wires on the spider web land. And those hoops on the board are pretty slippery. I'll try to make my lines nice and dark. And you won't see the lines after you get the wire and everything beaded. So you don't need to worry about the fact that you just put permanent marker on your hoop. And I'm using the BENECREAT 22 gauge wire. And I am just going to measure out a lot. So I guess it's not really measuring. It's more like I just need a lot of wire, and I need to make sure that it's going to go around the hoop. And this is a very long video, so I am going to be speeding up some of these sections. So that measurement, now I am just doubling it. It's a lot of wire to have to work with. And turns out I did overestimate. So it had been a little bit since I had done my last spider web. Oh, maybe a couple of months. And I lost the sheet of paper where I had all my measurements. Like it wouldn't have mattered anyways, because this is a 12-inch hoop, not an 8-inch hoop. So I'm going to be putting this on with a slip knot. And I'm going to be laying it right over one of the marks that I had made. And when I'm done beading it, it will land at the opposite side of the hoop on the other mark. So I have these Yopay beads. And I think there's 3,000 in the package. Very inexpensive for what you get. And I'm sorry I accidentally forgot to push play on the camera again. So we're just going to start over on that. And I have my hoop for the 22 gauge wire under the frame, and then I'm just pulling it in as a slip knot. And at this point, I am putting 3 beads on each side of the wire. I ended up with a lot of beads on the floor. I'm gonna have to be doing some sweeping today. Find all my treasures. And hold your work. The first set of beads after the slip knot, I think they're the most challenging to get into position. But after you get this first set in, it's pretty easy. And it's mostly just because your slip knot wants to scoot around the hoop. And after each set of the 3 beads, I'm putting in 3 twists as well. Remember to hold your work. And then for this first set that you put on, you're just going to bead like this until you reach the other side of the hoop. So I think I'm going to fast forward through most of that. Okay, here we go. We'll just speed up this. So the software only allows me to speed it up 4 times. And it is my head that keeps hitting the tripod and bouncing the camera. But Marianne had made those beautiful spiders, and it's like, you know what? I need to make a spider web. So I quit all my other projects, put them away, and try to get this to a point where I can show you guys. And when you make your spiders, hopefully this helps you give them a beautiful place to hang out. And I just had to rotate it just to make it a little more visible for you. And I'm sorry my hair keeps getting in the way. I actually started this project, I think it was around 3 in the morning. And I think, like most women my age, we don't sleep a whole lot, so. I got done with it, I think around 10 last night. I mean, I did work my day job in between doing all this. It's a lot of fun. One of the ones that I made for my granddaughter, and I had used the sunset colors, so the yellow, the orange, and the red. And I, as I was going out with the beads, I just changed the colors about every 1/3 of the hoop. It was an 8-inch hoop, so it was a lot easier. Okay, it wasn't easier, it was just less time consuming. But if you're going to be making the big spiders, then you're going to need a big web to put the big spiders on. So that's why I decided to do the 12-inch hoop. Okay, so now I've slowed it back down and putting in that final set of beads going across the hoop. And what I'm going to do is wrap each wire around the hoop to secure it. And I'm matching up with that black mark that's on the opposite side. And on this one, I use Marianne's wrap for it. So once each wire is wrapped around, you're going to bring them together and you're going to wrap them around twice on each side. And then from the first wraps around, you're going to take it over the initial wire and you're going to wrap it around twice on the opposite side. And I did go back through and glue each one of these in place after I finished. And this is the first piece that I started that I thought I had recorded, but I did not. So I'm just gonna do some measuring here to make sure it'll fit. And it turns out it's just like 3 beads too long. So what I'm doing is untwisting everything, and I'm gonna take those last set of 3 beads off. So it's 6 beads. Making sure that will work for us. I'm going to take one wire and put it underneath the strand that's going all the way across. I don't know why I didn't think about cutting that. That was so ridiculously long. So hard to work with. Oh well, I was having fun. I use that excuse a lot, okay? Okay, so I have a wire over the top of the bead set that's going across and a wire underneath. And what I'm going to be doing is just twisting it on. And I am so sorry I got underneath the camera like that. That's so silly. I was having fun. And I did tape everything down just to use painter's tape, just so that it was not moving around so much as I was trying to keep everything lined up. And that seemed to work pretty good. I didn't really need all those little pieces. It was yeah, why I did not cut that, it is beyond me. But it was 3 a.m. and I did put up a spider just to distract you from my unkept 3 a.m. self. Sorry about that. I was very focused on what I was doing and not the fact that I kept getting underneath the camera. So I'm just going to go ahead and speed this part up for you, and we'll just get done with wiring the hoop with the cross sections. Don't need another 7-hour video. But if you do have questions, please ask. I'm always happy to answer them. Oops, sorry about that, guys. making all sorts of racket here. And again with the slip knot. And like I said, the first initial beading on those slip knots, that's the most challenging, just because as you're doing it, your wire likes to move around, slip around. And I did forget to move my phone, so you all get to see what I was watching. Oh my goodness. Just always have to have entertainment. I'm always trying to learn something new. It definitely was a long process. And those Yopay beads, they are, I think they're like $7.99 or $8.99 for 3,000 of them. So it's a pretty good deal for all the beads that you get. And Marianne had said, months back, about the tariffs and how hard beads were going to be to get, beads and wire. And so I really stocked up. And here I'm just using the scrap wire that was left over of my initial cuts. Oh my gosh, that was ridiculous. I don't know what I was thinking. I do have measurements written down now. Live and learn. All right, so everything is on and where it needs to be. And now, you could consider this lacing. So I just took more scrap wire and I'm doing a slip knot. And I am so sorry that this got off camera. But what it is you're putting the slip knot under the hoop, and then there we go. So it's under the hoop, and you're bringing one up through the hoop, and then you're going to slip it in there, and this will hold, for the most part, your wires in place. And this is another trick that I learned from Marianne with the trees. And again, we're using the 3 beads here. And after we do a couple, I'll go ahead and we'll speed this up too. Remember to hold your work. Okay, so after I put in the 3 beads on each side, I wrap the wires around the hoop in opposite directions, and then I will put in 2 twists up on top. So if you only put in 1 twist, it will actually, as you're putting on your beads and retwisting, it'll come twisted. So yeah, make sure you put in those. And this is a really great spot to use the scrap wire. So any that you have, it's so easy to put it on, and yeah, nobody knows that it isn't a full piece of wire going all the way around. You can hide those ends very easily. Okay, I think I'm going to speed it up from right about here. So it was a kind of a long project, but the reason it took me so long is just because, again, it was the 12-inch hoop rather than the 8. If you're doing a smaller spider, you could probably even get away with like a 4 or 5-inch hoop to do this, and they would go pretty quick. You could probably have one done in, well, less than an hour. And that same diagram that I had made would work for that too. It'll work because I cut a 12-inch piece of that board. It would work all the way up to a 12-inch. So you could use a 1-inch on it. You could use a 3-inch. Yeah, it doesn't matter. As long as you get everything centered and your lines marked. So I have a phone I record with, and I had actually made it so that I could see my screen on my laptop, and that really helped. And it helped me keep everything underneath the screen, just not my hair. Yeah, I wasn't paying any attention to my hair. And I'm going to slow it down at the very end and show you how to attach the next branch the next part of the lacing after you run out of wire from your scrap wires. And like I said, nobody will ever see your cuts in these because it's actually just kind of laid underneath the beading. So it's nice and neat. The funny thing is I cannot for the life of me lace on my trees. It is so frustrating. But when you don't have all those branches in the way, boy, does that make it easy. I think this probably was the most time consuming of anything that I had, any individual piece of the web that I had made. But when you see it done, you're going to be like, oh, that was so worth it. And I did go ahead and glue everything together. And one of the reasons that I decided to do that is because if a big spider was to be put on this hoop, you don't want things coming apart. So just from the weight of it pulling it. And I've made quite a few spider webs and spiders. Nothing like Marianne has made with the spiders. My goodness, those last bunch, they were so pretty. So a spider like that would, or even a couple of spiders, would look really good on this web. Could probably even do a full scene and put spiders all the way around it. I try to think ahead, but sometimes first thing in the morning, I do not think past the end of my nose. Oh my goodness. But all of that gave me lots of scrap wire to use. And actually using the smaller pieces when you're lacing, it really does just add more security to bringing it around and holding those other longer strands in place. And I did place an order on Amazon for some bigger beads so I could make some spiders. What I like to do is go back and watch her tutorials a couple of times, and that way I really grasp what she's doing and the reasons that she does things the way she does them. It's just kind of the way my little brain works. So like I said, lots and lots and lots of scrap wire. I think we're more than halfway done at this point. Oh yeah. Got to the point where, for the most part, when I'd go to pick up the beads, I'd be picking up 3 or 4. It's like, oh, I'm getting them by feel now. The little things that can make you proud of yourself. Yeah, the good thing about having that monitor there is that, you know, when I look up, I can tell when I'm getting off camera, so I can just move everything back. That was my husband's idea. He is so smart. Don't tell him I said that. He'll get a big head. All right, so this one I'm slowing down just so that I can show you that part about the adding the wire. And I know it looks like I'm going in slow motion. I think I'm struggling here a little bit. I promise it's not slow motion. Okay, so when you're down to the end of your wire, you have to leave yourself enough that you can twist and then also wrap. You're going to put in a few really tight twists. And that piece of wire is way too long for where we're going, but it's all right. I saw Marianne made a video about some flowers yesterday. So we can use all those little teeny tiny scraps for that. I think she said 10 inches was her wire length. So that'll be perfect. Okay, so after you put your slip knot in, you bring your wires to each side of that last set of beads, and then you twist it on. So you're actually twisting it on top of the wire that you tied on. We're going to cut off that little piece of wire. And then you just continue on like you hadn't have run out of water, and because you have one on each side, so you can just put on your next set of beads. So we'll just speed this part up again. And again, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And here I'm just wrapping the wire several times and twisting, and then I will cut it from the back. Okay, so now we're going to start doing those, I guess, center wires. And what I'm doing is I just made a hoop. I just bent it in half, my wire. and got it to the section that I wanted to go with. So I did the third set of beads from the center. And instead of adding 3 on, because it's such a tiny spot, I just put 2 beads on each side. And then I twisted that. And it might actually have worked out well just to put 1 set of beads on instead of the 2. It turned out okay. Not perfect, but spider webs aren't perfect. So, like Marianne says, it was perfect for me. I will go ahead and speed this up after we get through this first section. And I'm just kind of eyeballing it to see where we're going to land. You want to make sure that you're the same amount up on both sides and put a little curve in it. And then you're going to take 1 wire underneath and pull the other wire over the top. And then put in 1 twist to secure it. 1 full twist. All right, I'm going to speed it up from here. I really do wish I could work this fast sometimes. So sometimes as you're bringing it through and you have, you're trying to get the little bit of a curve, on the side that's closest to the center, you'll put in less beads and then the same amount of beads on the top section, and that'll really help with your curve. So on that last one that I did, there was 1 on the wire that was closest to the center, and then I went ahead and put in the 2 beads on the top wire. And it's just because that's what fit. And this is in here, that center section is kind of where I'm thinking that maybe next time I'll just do, instead of 2 beads, I will just do 1 bead on each side. You'll kind of get rid of the stiffness if I do it that way, and make it a lot easier to put in those kind of swoopy bends in it. I'm sure if you were using smaller beads than the 4 millimeters, that might help too. Okay, so this, I'm sewing it back down, and I'm going to show you. So I've got 1 bead on the wire that is closest to the center, and I'm putting 2 beads Oh, that may have only been 1 bead on each side. And I'm going to do that same wrap method. And I'll twist those on. Okay. So not perfect, but perfect for me. Now we'll do the next section, and I tied it on, and this one I only went 2 sections up from the last one that we did. And once again, it was 2 beads on each side, so I guess I can just go ahead and speed this one right up. But same method of attaching, you just wrap your wire around and then give it a couple of twists. So this part will go pretty fast. Just because I sped it up. I go hitting the camera with my head again. I don't know if that's an indication that I have a big head or not. I'm like, oh. Or just clumsy. Maybe I'm just clumsy. I don't have a big head, I'm clumsy. The one thing about doing the spider webs is it's just very repetitious. So, you know, you can, once you get your groove going, you can turn on your audiobook or turn on YouTube and just kind of watch something from there. I kind of do all of the above. I just always have to have something going in my ear. Altogether, I am guessing that this probably took me about 5 hours to finish. Because I was doing it before I went to work, and then after I got done for the day, and then of course hubby needed fed, and I guess I needed to make dinner first, and then hubby needed fed, the dog needed fed. Just lots going on. And yesterday I had gone outside and I had a backpack sprayer, and I was spraying some of the weeds. If you know anything about Mississippi, we've got lots of weeds. Oh my gosh. So I hadn't really been able to spray since early spring because we have gotten rain every single day. Oh gosh, for the past couple of months. I mean, there hasn't been a 24-hour period where we haven't gotten something. And one of the things about spraying is that the spray needs to stay on the leaves for 24 hours before they get wet. So I had a lot that I needed to get done. And I just put on that backpack sprayer and just walked around. I did it twice, and it's 3 gallons for a fill. By the time I got done, I was just done with the heat. So getting just to spend all day yesterday inside working on this, did not hurt my feelings at all. And my husband's back is still really bothering him, so he doesn't do things that take back muscles. And it's kind of left up to me right now. And I don't mind it, except for in the heat. But I don't like cold either. I think I was actually meant to be born on like a tropical island, where it doesn't get warmer than like 85 and doesn't get cooler than 70. I don't know where that is, but that's where I was meant to be born. I don't know why my mom didn't move there. One thing about the winters down here is it just doesn't get that cold. I mean, we had this year, I think we had 2 weeks where it dropped below freezing. But, coming from up north, that's nothing. That's nothing. For 2 weeks, I can wear a coat. And I have 2 coats where, I used to have a lot of coats. So. Okay, here's where we're just going to tie that on. We'll do the exact same thing. Take it over and twist it. And then we'll twist it around the back and chop it off. So with this last set of beads that I'm going to be putting on, I went back and I decided to do 4 to make the hoops a little bit bigger. And the reason that I decided to do that is because when you go to put or attach spiders, it'll be a lot easier to attach them to something that's a little bit bigger. So this is again going to be a gift, and I just want to make things as easy as possible. See what I mean? Beads all over the floor. As soon as I get done talking you through this, I'm going to be doing some sweeping. So once again, just make sure that when you're attaching the strand that you're counting and knowing which branch or which section you're attaching to the long wires. So I think that looks really pretty. And it will be super glittery in a window. And then to have a colorful spider on it will be perfect. And I like this so much. I think that for the rest of the spider webs that I'm doing for people, I am going to do the 12-inch. And I think the 12-inch will look best with the bigger spiders anyways. and I will link all of this stuff in the description so that you guys can just click on it, and if you want to try it, you can go buy what I used. I'm always looking for the best deal because it's a hobby. Marianne has I think it's an Amazon playlist where she goes through a lot of the beads and tools, wire that she uses. And, because she's done so many projects, she has just a really wide variety to look at. And that's where I got my bead looper, is just by going through what she had posted that she buys on Amazon. And I haven't used the bead looper a lot, but let me tell you, my husband loves it. And when we're FaceTiming the grandkids, it's like he's from like Rose from Golden Girls. He will continue like, did I show you my favorite tool that she uses? Well, I've practiced with it, but I haven't actually used it on a project yet. But every time we're FaceTiming, it's like, let me show you Grandma's favorite tool. I think I need to buy him one. We have an anniversary coming up, and I think I need to buy him one as an anniversary gift. I mean, he's given me lots of tools. So, he gave me his wire cutters. Not the pink ones, the green ones. Those pink ones are horrible. I got those, I think, at Walmart. And, yeah, they are not lasting at all. They have, like, little chips in them. And really all I've cut is, I think the thickest wire I've cut with them is the 20 gauge. And there's parts of them, the blade that's still good, but yeah. The pair of wire cutters that my husband gave me, the green ones, I think they're just meant as a regular tool for a professional, and they're great. I have no issues at all with those. So maybe just like Lowe's or Home Depot might be the best place to buy those. I don't know. I haven't been doing this long enough to, actually figure that part out. Okay, so once again, I have to put in a new wire, and I'm just using scrap wires on these. And I say scrap wires. If I've cut too many wires or had to cut off wires, it's like, this is just a great project to use up those extra wires that you have. And obviously, from my first few sets of beads on here, it was like, yeah, I had made a mess. Just not thought about it right. And it's because I did not have my instructions from the first time I did it. And we are almost done, guys. And I would very much like to thank you for watching this video. And again, you got questions, please ask. I know I forgot to say something, but I'm happy to help. And thanks again, guys. Have a great day.